Happy Easter. I want to welcome everyone to Easter Vigil. This is probably one of the more well-attended Easter Vigils we've had in a long time. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all come for a really, if you come, you commit to the Easter Vigil, you're committing to a long night. Today, obviously, we celebrate the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ coming back from the dead. And the beauty of the Easter Vigil is that it starts at night. Not late afternoon, the night. It is dark outside. And the darkness outside reminds us of where we're coming from. And the light inside the church, and in particular the light that shines from this candle, the Paschal candle, is symbolic of the light of Christ that burns in each and every single one of us, even when we face and endure the darkness that life has to throw at us. Each and every single one of us has experienced darkness in our life, have we not? We've had periods where we borderline despair, where we struggled with our own sin, or had to suffer the consequences of somebody else's sin. We all know what darkness feels like. But the beauty of this night is that light shines in the darkness, and darkness shall not overcome it. And one thing extra special that we get to do here tonight, and it only happens once a year, is the proclamation of the Exultet. That long chant that Deacon did so eloquently as we began this beautiful liturgy. It is an ancient chant. And if you get a chance, go back, find a copy, and listen to it. Read the words, and it will shake you to your bones. For this is the night of which it is written, when the night shall be as bright as day, dazzling is the light for us, and for God's honor. This is the night in which the prison bars of death are broken, and Christ is risen victoriously from the underworld. This is the night when we celebrate the Exodus, when the Israelites passed dry-shod through the Red Sea and rose victoriously. And we commemorate this with a pillar of fire, a column of fire. In that third reading that we read about the Exodus from Egypt, we all know the story, right? With the chariot and charioteers, they're following the Israelites. We all know the story. And Moses opens the Red Sea, and they pass through, and they make it to the other side. But we forget what happens before they pass through the Red Sea. Granted, they grumble and complain a bit. But first, God sends down, as the text refers to it as, a column of fire. Or we could say a pillar of fire. And so the pillar of fire that we acknowledge as we begin the sacred liturgy as the light of Christ is a direct reference back to the Exodus. A flame was lit before people passed through something to get to their salvation. They passed through the waters of the Red Sea, unstained. Similarly, in a few moments, we will have the opportunity to witness a baptism. And through the sacrament of baptism, we see somebody pass through the waters and emerged unstained. What we are celebrating here tonight goes back to that very Exodus, when they passed through the Red Sea. And why did they want to leave Egypt? Why did they want to leave Egypt? What were they suffering from? Slavery. Are we not slaves? What are we slaves to? our freedom. Oh, we love freedom, don't we? But sometimes we become a slave to it. Why? Because we choose the things in life that are just not good for us. And what is that more simply described as? Sin. And so we have to break our sin. And that is exactly what Christ came to do. Yesterday we crucified the Lord. And it's a very somber day when we think back and recognize what our lives have done to put him on the cross. And yet today we commemorate that it's that same action in which Christ willingly accepted his cross. And the blood that we shed yesterday is the exact blood that redeems us. For he rises victoriously from the underworld. Our birth would mean nothing. Your birth would be in vain had we not been redeemed. On this night, we celebrate in joy as we tremble at the beauty of something that was given to us, given to all creation, that we simply do not deserve. And it is at that we should tremble with humility, because it is then that we know that we are loved. I don't think we hear that enough. We all want to be loved. But do you hear it enough that you are loved? And more importantly, do you experience that love? And that is what we are doing here tonight. You are experiencing an action of love. You are experiencing the fruits of a sacrifice of love in which it rises victoriously. Death has lost its strain over us. Death has no power over us. Although it may be hard to go through, it loses its sting. And we become victorious only through Christ. But first we must suffer and die. But praise be to God that now, with the events that happened over the last 3 days, our Christian religion is completely different than anything else out there. No longer are we born to die. No longer is life a condition of death, where one must live before they can die. It has been turned upside down. And now death is a condition of life. One must die so that they can live. At the funeral ritual, which if you get a chance to go to a funeral, go. They're beautiful. There is a line in the preface that says this: "Indeed, for your faithful, O Lord," that's us, and the deceased. "Indeed, for your faithful, O Lord, life has changed, not ended. And when this earthly dwelling eventually turns to dust, an eternal dwelling is made ready for us in heaven. Because Christ, who is no longer a victim, but Christ our victor, has won victory over sin and death. The gates of heaven have swung open. The welcome mat is open for all. Sin has been destroyed. There's only one part that's left. And it's only the joy of the resurrection that will ultimately motivate us to accept this task, to walk through those gates that have been opened for us. There is only one thing. we have to openly accept and embrace it. Which means we must accept the drama. What we celebrated the last 3 days here is not a tragedy. If it was a tragedy, we would have ended yesterday. It is a drama. We are dying and rising again from the dead. Are you willing to enter into the drama? The drama always has a happy ending. But it's going to try you in life. You have to be willing to accept the Good Fridays of your life. The hardships, the pain, the penances, the curveballs that life throws you. Once you accept it and embrace it, life does not get easier. But you know what happens? It gets better. And those two are not mutually exclusive. Your life can get harder, but it can fundamentally get better. Why? Because Jesus Christ has risen from the dead. That is why. And there is a joy that is poured forth from that. And once you enter into the intimacy of the Lord, you'd be willing to accept the cross. Because you know what happens. A mere 3 days later, we receive our victory.